Okay, this is the Bass Colonel. What I want to talk about today is what I do to prep for a fishing trip. For example, tomorrow I'm going to Lake Bass Drop. It's about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes from here. I'll talk about a few lessons learned, things I've had happen to me on the water, and what I do to make sure that it minimize the chance of those things happening, particularly when you first get on the lake and make that first cast or catch that first fish out on the lake. I want to talk first about tackle. One of the things I do when I get back from a fishing trip is I'll lay all my rods out on the deck, and when I get ready to go out on the next trip, I start rigging out my rods with the baits I want to use. I check all my knots. If it's a bait that I previously used, good chance I'm going to retie it. I'm going to check the line. In some cases I'll even take it out in the yard and run it out 30-40 yards to make sure there are no breaks in the lines. I've had it before where I've cast out and even had a cut in the line back 10-15 yards. That's been a problem before. I also check that that bait is right for how I've got it set for casting, so I don't get a backlash on my first cast. And I also check the drag to make sure that it's not too tight or too loose, so that first fish I try to set the hook on, I don't have any problems on. That's the biggest thing I do with my my rods and reels. My purpose is I want to make sure when I get on the water, particularly when it's dark, I'm not fumbling around trying to find my baits. I've got everything pre-rigged, preset, ready to go. No backlashes, no problems, and that I'm all set. And that's really, again, from a lot of hard lessons learned, and it saved me a lot of time in the water here lately, particularly when I'm antsy and in a hurry and ready to get going.
One of the other things I do with respect to my tackle is I lay everything out to make sure I've got everything squared away. One of my big mistakes I make, usually in the morning, I wake up early, I'm still kind of half awake. Anytime I get in a rush, I always tend to forget something that's important, the most important of which is the boat key. So I always make sure I got my boat keys. I know I've made it to the lake at least once, only to find out that my keys were sitting at home. Luckily it was only 18 miles away. But things like sunglasses, my little lamp that I put on my hat, make sure that it's good to go, that the batteries are good so that it'll turn on when I'm trying to get the boat in the water and get going. My digital scale, I make sure the batteries are good on that. It's been more than once that I've gone to weigh a fish only to find out that my batteries are dead. I get my cooler loaded up. I get all that stuff squared away, and I either put it in a spot in the garage where there's no way I can walk out without it, or I preload it in the boat if I'm leaving the boat in the garage, and so the next morning when I get up, I'm ready to roll out. But again, I want to make sure that all that stuff is there and ready to go. On my boat, most importantly, I'm making sure that I've hooked up correctly. I've got the safety chains hooked up. I've got the safety pin in. I've got the lights hooked up. I turn the lights on in the truck. I go back, make sure that the lights are working on the back of the trailer, making sure my right and left blinker are working. If I've got that problem, I want to certainly figure it out the night before while I got time to run to Walmart to get new plugs. Also, I'm making sure that the winch on the boat's hooked up properly and that the safety hook is on. I just want to make sure there's no chance that my paid-off boat is not going to fly off down the road. Also, on my boat, particularly if I'm going to be starting out in the dark or finishing in the dark, tomorrow I'm starting out in the dark, make sure that my night lights are on and that they work. I'll probably take it down to travel to the lake tomorrow, but again, just want to make sure that that's all squared away so I don't have to get to the lake and have to wait to get on the water. Also, I don't do this every trip, but every third or fourth trip I've got grease, and I'll just put another shot of grease in my hubs, check my tires, make sure there's no problem. Again, I just don't want to. That's probably one of the worst things that can happen on the way to the lake is have the bearings go bad and have it catch on fire or something crazy like that. So I'm always really checking that. I fish about 90% of the time by myself, but tomorrow morning I'm meeting a guy out at the lake, and so this trip I've got to take my extra life preserver. So I'm going to make sure I got 2 in there, make sure I got my flotation device, make sure my fire extinguisher is good. I always carry my fishing license and boat registration in my billfold, so as long as I don't take off without my billfold, I'm good. But I know my home lake on the weekend, they're out there checking almost all the time, so I want to make sure I've got that with me so I don't get an unnecessary ticket on the lake. And the last couple of things I do is I turn the key on my boat ignition, make sure that I've got power, and then I just check my light switches, make sure that nothing's accidentally turned on, so that when I get to the lake I'm reasonably confident I've got battery charged and the thing's going to start, because I know I've had at least one occasion when I got to the lake and my battery was dead. So if I do all those things, I'm pretty sure I'll get on the lake in good order and be ready to fish as soon as I'm on the lake.